The meeting room was silent except for the soft hum of life support systems. 7 alien leaders sat around a large round table. Their faces showed worry and defeat. Screens on the walls displayed maps of space with red areas growing larger each day. The red-marked territory lost to the enemy. Admiral XR Thal looked at his fellow council members. His blue skin was pale from lack of sleep, and his 4 eyes blinked slowly as he gathered strength to speak. "We must face the truth," he said in a voice that echoed in the quiet room. "After 30 years of fighting, we are losing this war. The Voidborn have taken 3 more star systems this month alone." General Vex of the Regellian forces slammed his fist on the table. "We have lost half our fleet. My homeworld is nearly surrounded. How much more can we sacrifice?" The other leaders nodded. The Galactic Alliance, once proud and strong, was now hiding at Proxima Station, their last safe base. "We have one option left," said Exarthal. "Protocol Omega." The room filled with gasps and whispers. "You cannot be serious," said Minister Zara of the Pleiadian delegation. "They are barely space-capable. They still fight wars among themselves." Zarthal pressed a button, and a hologram appeared above the table. It showed a blue and green planet. "Earth," he said. "Home to humans. Yes, they are young and primitive compared to us. But they have something we have lost. They adapt quickly. They think in ways we do not. Most importantly, they never give up, even when logic says they should." "They would be slaughtered," said General Vex. "Perhaps," replied Exarthal. "But our scouts have watched them for centuries. They turn disadvantages into strengths. They create solutions we would never imagine. And we have run out of ideas." After hours of debate, the council voted. Protocol Omega would begin. Captain Lisa Morgan squinted against the bright morning sun as she walked across the airfield. At 32, she was one of the Navy's best pilots. Her short brown hair moved slightly in the breeze as she headed toward the hangar for her debriefing. 3 weeks ago, she had encountered something during a routine training flight over the Pacific. Something that wasn't in any flight manual, something that moved in ways no aircraft could. She had reported it honestly, and now the brass wanted to talk to her again. "Captain Morgan," called a voice. She turned to see Colonel Frank Bennett walking quickly toward her. She saluted. "Sir." "At ease, Captain. Change of plans. The debriefing is canceled. You need to come with me right now." She followed him to a black SUV with government plates. Inside were 2 men in dark suits. "What's going on, sir?" she asked as they drove away from the base. "National security, Captain. That's all I can say until we reach the meeting." 3 hours later, Lisa sat in an underground facility she didn't know existed. Colonel Bennett was there, along with several high-ranking military officials she recognized from the news. The President's National Security Advisor stood at the front of the room. "Thank you all for coming on such short notice," he said. "What I'm about to tell you is classified at the highest level." The door at the back of the room opened. Lisa turned and froze. Walking toward them was clearly not human. The being was tall and slender with blue skin, 4 eyes, and hands with 6 fingers each. "This is Ambassador Kellinar of the Galactic Alliance," said the security advisor. "And they need our help." Lisa's heart raced as Kellinar spoke in perfect English. "Captain Morgan," the alien said, looking directly at her, "your encounter 3 weeks ago was with one of our scout ships. We chose you because of how well you handled that situation. We need humans like you." "For what?" Lisa asked, finding her voice. "To help us win a war we are losing. A war that will reach your world soon if we fall." Kelnar's 4 eyes blinked sadly. "We have technology and knowledge. But after 30 years of fighting, we have lost our edge. We need human creativity, human determination, human unpredictability." Lisa looked around the room at the shocked faces of her fellow officers. "When do we start?" she asked. Lisa Morgan stood in the small group of chosen humans as they were led through the alien ship. Beside her walked Major Daniel Wright, a tall Marine with a serious face, and steady hands. On her other side was Grace Kelly, an Air Force intelligence specialist with sharp eyes that missed nothing. "This vessel is just a transport," explained Kellenar as they moved through corridors that seemed to glow with their own light. "Our flagship awaits at the edge of your solar system." Daniel touched a wall carefully. "What's it made of?" "Materials you don't have names for yet," said Kellenar. "You will learn." After 6 hours in space, they'd reached the Alliance flagship. When the doors opened to the command center, all 3 humans stopped and stared. Through a massive window, they could see stars like never before. Alien crew members worked at stations with floating screens and controls that moved with just a wave of their hands. "Welcome to Proxima Station," said Admiral Xarthal, stepping forward to greet them. "Our last major base. Once we had hundreds." The Admiral led them to a large room with a table that projected a 3D map of the galaxy. Red areas covered almost half of it. "The red shows Voidborn territory," explained Xarthal. 3 years ago, it was only this much." He pointed to a small section. "They grow stronger while we grow weaker." "Why us?" asked Grace. "Why humans?" Kellenar touched the map, and it zoomed in on Earth. "Your planet has been watched for centuries. Your species has something rare. You adapt faster than any species we know. You think in ways we do not." "And the Voidborn?" asked Lisa. "What do they want?" The map changed to show a dark, sharp-edged ship. "The Voidborn believe they are the only species worthy of existence. All others are flaws in creation. They do not take prisoners. They do not show mercy." Daniel frowned. "Have they found Earth yet?" Admiral Xarthal's 4 eyes blinked slowly. "Yes, their scouts have already mapped your world. If we fall, Earth will be next." Grace studied the Voidborn ships. "How many humans know about this?" "Only your top leaders and the few we have chosen to bring here," said Kellenar. "Like you 3. Lisa stepped closer to the map. "If we help you, what do we get in return?" "Technology, protection, knowledge." Admiral Xarthal gestured to the stars. "A place among the galactic community." "And if we say no?" asked Daniel. "Then we will continue to fight until the last of us falls, and then you will face the Voidborn alone." The 3 humans exchanged looks. Lisa spoke for them all. "We need to see everything. Your ships, your weapons, your battle plans, and I want to see the enemy in action." Admiral Xarthal seemed surprised. "You wish to study our failures?" "Yes," said Lisa, "because that's how humans learn." Over the next 3 days, the humans reviewed battle records. They watched as Alliance ships fought and lost against the Voidborn fleets. They studied alien technology and asked endless questions. On the 4th day, Lisa called a meeting with the Alliance leaders. "Your ships are better than theirs," she said. "Your weapons are stronger, but you fight the same way every time. They know what you'll do before you do it." Daniel nodded. "You fight by the book. The problem is, they'd read your book." Grace pulled up a battle recording. "Look here, and here. They leave these gaps because they know you won't take advantage of them." Admiral Xarthal leaned forward. "What do you suggest?" Lisa smiled. "First, we need a small ship, something fast, and a crew willing to try things your people would consider crazy." "To what end?" asked Kellenar. "To show you how humans fight," said Lisa. "When we have nothing left to lose, we get creative." The Alliance ship given to Lisa and her team was small but fast. The aliens called it a scout vessel. Lisa named it Wildcard. For 2 weeks, she and Daniel trained with the ship, learning how it worked and testing what it could do. Grace spent her time differently. She sat for hours watching battle recordings, taking notes on how the Voidborn moved and fought. She saw patterns the aliens had missed. They always attacked the same way. She told Lisa one evening as they ate in the small mess hall. 3 waves. First to test defenses, second to find weak spots, third to break through. Lisa nodded, And the Alliance always responds the same way too. That's their problem. A new human arrived at Proxima Station. Dr. Alan Hughes was a scientist from NASA with wild gray hair and bright eyes. He looked at alien technology like a child with new toys. "This is amazing," he said, taking apart a communication device in the lab. "But it's also predictable." Admiral XR Thal watched with concern. "That is advanced technology. It took us centuries to develop." Ellen looked up with a smile. "It's very good. But the Voidborn know how it works, right? They can track it and block it." "Yes," admitted the Admiral. "They have adapted to our frequencies. Then we need something they haven't seen before." Ellen held up an old-style radio he had brought from Earth. "Sometimes older is better." The Alliance officers laughed, but they stopped laughing 3 days later when Alan showed them his new creation. He had combined Earth radio technology with Alliance energy systems. "Try to block this signal," he challenged them. Their best security experts tried and it failed. "How?" asked Kellenar in amazement. "I used AM radio waves with a pattern that changes randomly based on Earth music. Unless they know Earth music, they can't predict the pattern." For the first time in years, hope showed in Admiral Saarthal's 4 eyes. Meanwhile, on Earth, things were changing too. Olivia Clark, a young engineer at NASA, led a secret team working with alien technology. The first human-built spacecraft using Alliance designs took shape in a hidden facility under the desert. Back at Proxima Station, Lisa and her team were ready to test their ideas. They gathered in the command center to present their plan. "We want to attack this Voidborn outpost," said Lisa, pointing to a small station near the edge of Alliance space. General Vex laughed harshly. "With one small ship? Impossible." Daniel stepped forward. "Not if we don't fight the way they expect." He showed a battle plan unlike anything the Alliance had tried before. It used surprise, speed, and misdirection. "You would be destroyed," said an Alliance commander. "This breaks all standard combat rules." "Exactly," said Grace with a smile. "That's the point." After hours of argument, Admiral XR Thol made a decision. "Let them try. We have nothing to lose." 3 days later, the Wild Card entered Voidborn space. Lisa sat in the command chair, Daniel at weapons, Grace at sensors, and Alan at communications. "They've spotted us," said Grace as alarms sounded. 2 patrol ships moving to intercept." "Good," said Lisa. "Time to show them something new." Instead of running or fighting directly, Lisa flew the ship in a strange pattern. She went straight toward the enemy, then cut engines completely, drifting silently with all systems dark. "What are you doing?" asked the Alliance pilot they had brought along. "They'll find us." "No," said Daniel. "They'll find where we were, not where we are." The Voidborn ships searched the wrong area, passing within meters of the dark wild card. When they moved away, Lisa powered up just enough to drift toward the outpost. "This is insane," whispered the Alliance pilot. Grace smiled in the dim light of her console. "No, this is human." The Wild Card floated silently near the Voidborn outpost. Inside, the crew watched the enemy ships move in regular patterns around their base. No one had spotted them yet. "Their radar sweeps every 30 seconds, whispered Grace, though no one could hear them in space. "There's a 5-second gap between the end of one sweep and the start of the next." Lisa nodded. "That's our window. We go in fast during those 5 seconds, drop the charges, and get out." Daniel checked the weapons they had brought. These weren't normal bombs. Alan had changed them to release a signal that would confuse the Voidborn computers. "Ready when you are," he said. Lisa counted down. 3, 2, 1, now. She fired the engines at full power. The Wild Card shot forward like an arrow. The crew felt pressed back into their seats from the speed. 20 seconds until we're in range," called Grace. An alarm sounded. "They've seen us." The Alliance pilot looked terrified. "Good," said Lisa calmly. "Right on schedule." 3 Voidborn fighters turned to attack them. But Lissa didn't slow down or try to fight back. Instead, she flew straight at them at top speed. "What are you doing?" cried the Alliance pilot. "Playing chicken," said Daniel with a grim smile. At the last possible second, Lisa twisted the ship into a spin. They passed between two void-borne ships that had to swerve to avoid hitting each other. "Drop the charges now," she ordered. Daniel pressed the button. Small devices shot out from the wild card, attaching to the outpost's outer walls. "Get us out of here," said Grace. "We have 40 seconds before they activate." Lisa turned the ship and pushed the engines beyond their safety limits. Behind them, the void-borne ships followed in perfect formation. "They're gaining," warned the Alliance pilot. "Let them," said Lisa. "In 3, 2, 1. She cut the engines completely. The sudden stop made everyone jerk forward. The void-borne ships, still at full speed, shot past them. Daniel laughed. "They expected us to keep running. They don't understand crazy." Back at the outpost, the charges activated. There was no explosion. Instead, all the lights on the station flickered and went dark. The void-borne ships that had passed them suddenly stopped moving, drifting without power. "It worked," said Alan in amazement. "The signal overloaded their systems." Lisa turned the ship around. "Let's go home." When they returned to Proxima Station, no one believed their story at first. No Alliance ship had ever attacked a void-borne base and returned without losses. Admiral XR Thal called a meeting of all commanders. The wildcard crew showed the recordings of their mission. "You disabled an entire outpost without firing a single shot," asked General Vex in disbelief. "We used their own predictability against them," explained Grace. "They never considered we would do something so unexpected." The news spread quickly through the Alliance. For the first time in years, there was a victory to celebrate. Admiral XR Thol made a decision. "Captain Morgan, I am giving you command of a new battle group. 5 ships to start. You will teach them how to fight your way." Lisa looked surprised. "You trust us that much already?" The Admiral's 4 eyes blinked slowly. "We have been fighting this war for 30 years using the same tactics. You showed us a new way in just 1 mission. Yes, I trust you." Daniel smiled. "What should we call this new battle group?" Lisa thought for a moment. "Phoenix Wing." In Earth mythology, the phoenix rises from its own ashes, just like the Alliance will now. Far away, in the dark center of void-borne space, Emperor Kradax received the report of the lost outpost. His black eyes narrowed as he studied the strange attack pattern. "What species did this?" he demanded. "A new one, Emperor. They call themselves humans." Krydax's gray skin tightened over his skull-like face. "Bring me one. I want to see what makes them different." The war was about to change. News of the Phoenix Wing's success spread quickly. Within weeks, they won 3 more battles using tactics no one in the Alliance had tried before. Lisa's team studied each void-borne response and changed their approach each time. "They can't predict what we'll do because we don't know ourselves until we do it," Daniel explained to a group of alien officers who watched with confusion as he described their plans. Back on Earth, everything changed. World leaders gathered at the United Nations for an emergency meeting. The President of the United States stood at the podium and revealed the truth. "We are not alone in the universe," she said to billions watching around the world. "And we are now part of a war that will determine if humanity survives." People panicked at first. There were riots in some cities. Religious leaders debated what it all meant. But soon, something amazing happened. Humans began to unite as never before. Major Daniel Wright returned to Earth to help. He stood in a huge aircraft hangar in Nevada that had been converted into a training center. Before him stood 500 men and women from different countries, all volunteers for the 1st Human Space Combat Division. "You are not here to learn how to be good soldiers," he told them. "The Alliance has plenty of those. You're here because you think differently. You solve problems in ways no one expects." In Russia, China, India, and Europe, similar training centers opened. Old enemies worked together, sharing resources and ideas. Olivia Clark's team grew from 20 engineers to 2,000. They worked day and night in facilities around the world, building ships based on Alliance designs, but with human improvements. "Make it simpler," she often said. "If it breaks, we need to be able to fix it with whatever we have." Grace Kelly discovered something important while working with Alliance intelligence. She requested a meeting with Admiral Tarthal and Lisa. "The Voidborn aren't just fighting us because they want to conquer," she explained, showing data on a screen. "They hate us because of something specific." "What?" asked the Admiral. "Genetic diversity," said Grace. "Look at their DNA patterns. All Voidborn are nearly identical, but Alliance species are different from each other, and humans." She showed a new chart. "We have more genetic diversity than any species they've ever encountered." Lisa understood immediately. "Their religion says they're perfect, but our existence challenges that." "Exactly," said Grace. "They'll hate humans more than anyone." Admiral Exarthal's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. "This is why they always fight so hard to wipe out entire species, not just defeat them." On the Voidborn throne world, Emperor Kradax watched recordings of Phoenix Wing's battles with growing anger. No one had ever fought like this before. No one had ever made his commanders look foolish. "These humans," he said to his war council, "they are an infection. They spread their chaos to the other species." "We have captured one of their small vessels," Emperor said his general. "The crew fought to the death, but we recovered their bodies." "Show me their genetics," ordered Kradax. When he saw the results, he hissed in disgust. Abominations, each one different from the others. No purity at all. He stood from his throne. "Change our plans. Earth becomes our primary target. We will cleanse this infection before it spreads further." 6 months after the first humans joined the Alliance, a fleet of 100 ships gathered at Proxima Station. For the first time, human-built vessels flew alongside alien ones. They were smaller but more maneuverable. Their weapons were simpler but easier to repair. Lisa Morgan, now a commander, looked out at the fleet from the bridge of her new flagship. It was time to stop defending and start taking back what was lost. "All ships report ready," said Daniel, now her second in command. Lisa nodded. "Then let's show the Voidborn what happens when they make enemies of humans." The combined fleet moved through space toward their target, a major Voidborn supply base in the Orient sector. Taking this base would open a path to reclaim 3 star systems the Alliance had lost years ago. Lisa stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching the stars. Her crew was a mix of humans and aliens working side by side. What had seemed strange 6 months ago now felt normal. "All ships in position," reported Daniel. Lisa nodded. "Begin Operation Trojan." The name came from an ancient Earth story about soldiers hiding inside a giant wooden horse. The Alliance officers had thought it was crazy when they first heard the plan. Now they watched with hope. 1/3 of the fleet appeared to break away, as if retreating from a patrol they had spotted. Another third powered down most systems, drifting silently behind a large asteroid field. The final third, led by Lisa, moved forward boldly toward the Voidborn base. "They've spotted us," said the sensor officer. "Voidborn ships moving to intercept." "Good," said Lisa. "Let them come." On the Voidborn command ship, Captain Zolvex watched the approaching Alliance fleet with contempt. "Pathetic," he said. "They finally gather courage to attack, but bring too few ships." He ordered his fleet to move forward in their standard 3-wave formation. The first wave of Voidborn ships engaged Lisa's fleet. Her ships took damage but held their line, not retreating as the Voidborn expected. "Second wave, attack," ordered Captain Zolvex. As the second wave moved forward, alarms sounded on his bridge. "Sir, Alliance ships behind us." The part of the fleet that had appeared to retreat had actually gone around the system and come up behind the Voidborn base. "A simple trick," sneered Zolvex. "Send the third wave to destroy them." But as his third wave moved, More alarms sounded. The ships that had hidden in the asteroid field now rushed forward, attacking the void-born ships from a third direction. "Impossible," shouted Zulvex. On the Alliance flagship, Lisa smiled. "All ships, execute Thunderstrike." This was Dr. Alan Hughes' new invention. Every Alliance ship fired a special pulse that disrupted void-born communications. Suddenly, the enemy ships couldn't coordinate their movements. "Press the attack," ordered Lisa. "All ships, target their command vessel." The battle raged for hours. Ships exploded into bright flashes that quickly died in the vacuum of space. Both sides took heavy losses. When it was over, the void-born base was captured, and Captain Zulvex was dead. For the first time in 20 years, the Alliance had won a major battle. Admiral Exarthal called a special meeting of the Alliance Council. Lisa and her team stood before them, tired but proud. "In one battle, you have reclaimed what we lost in 3 years," said the Admiral. "How do we build on this victory?" Daniel stepped forward with a tablet showing battle plans. "We've studied the 3 star systems behind this base. We can retake them within 2 months if we move quickly." Minister Zura looked doubtful. "Our losses were heavy. We lost 1/3 of our ships." "But the Voidborn lost more," said Grace. "And they don't adapt as quickly as we do. They're still using the same tactics." Dr. Alan Hughes stood up. "I have something that will help with our ship losses." He showed them designs for a new shield system. "By combining Alliance energy technology with Earth metals, we've created shields that are 30% stronger." The council members looked at each other in surprise. No one had improved shield technology in 50 years. Olivia Clark, newly arrived from Earth, added her news. "The first full human fleet will be ready in 3 weeks. 20 ships built by humans, using human and Alliance technology together." Admiral Exarthal stood. "Then it is decided. We will press our advantage. Commander Morgan, you will lead this campaign." The council voted unanimously. For the first time, humans would be recognized as full members of the Alliance, not just helpers. As they left the meeting, Lisa stopped Daniel. "We won a battle, but the war is far from over." Daniel nodded. "The Voidborn will change their tactics now." "Yes," said Lisa. "And we need to be ready when they do." Emperor Krydak smashed his fist on the arm of his throne. 3 of his best commanders knelt before him, their heads bowed in fear. "You have failed me," he said in a cold voice. "Humans, a primitive species, have turned the tide against us. This is unacceptable." The Emperor stood and walked to the large window that showed the vast Voidborn fleet gathered around his throne world. Thousands of ships waited for his command. "We will end this now," he said. 3 fleets. 1 will attack Earth directly. 1 will destroy Proxima Station. 1 will strike at the Alliance homeworlds. We will cut off the head of this rebellion in 1 strike. On Proxima Station, alarms sounded throughout the base. Grace Kelly ran to the command center where Lisa and Admiral Exarthal were already studying a holographic map. "The Voidborn are moving," said Grace, breathless from running. "All their major fleets. They've split into 3 groups." "Where are they heading?" asked Lisa. Grace pointed to the map. "Here, here, and..." She paused. "The 3rd fleet is heading directly for Earth." Lisa's face went pale. "We need to warn Earth. Daniel is there with only a small defense force." Admiral Exarthal looked grim. "We cannot be in 3 places at once. We must choose." "No," said Lisa firmly. "We split our forces too. We fight all 3 battles at once." "Impossible," said General Vex. "We would be too weak at each point." "Not if we fight smarter," said Lisa. She turned to Grace. "You've been studying their communication patterns. Can you use that?" Grace nodded slowly. "I think so. If I can get close enough to their command ships, I might be able to hack into their battle network. Create confusion." "Good," said Lisa. She called Olivia on Earth. "What's the status of your project?" Olivia's face appeared on the screen. She looked tired but excited. We just finished testing. The drone ships work perfectly. What are drone ships? Asked Admiral Clarthal. Olivia smiled. Small, fast ships with no crew. They're controlled remotely by pilots using virtual reality. One pilot can control 3 ships at once. How many do you have? Asked Lisa. 200 ready now. Another 300 in 2 days. Lisa turned to the Alliance leaders. This is how we fight all 3 battles. We use every trick we have. The next day, the Voidborn attack began. At Earth, Daniel commanded a small fleet of Alliance and human ships against a force 3 times their size. We can't hold them long, he told his officers. We just need to buy time. The Voidborn ships came in their usual 3-wave formation, but this time they moved differently, adapting to human tactics. As the battle raged around Earth, Lisa led the defense of Proxima Station. Her ships took heavy damage, but they fought with desperation, knowing what would happen if they lost. In the 3rd battle, Alliance ships struggled to protect their homeworlds. The situation looked hopeless on all 3 fronts. Then Grace Kelly's team broke through the Voidborn communications. From a small ship near the edge of the Earth battle, she sent a signal that spread through the enemy network like a virus. I'm in, she said over the comm to Lisa and Daniel. Sending false orders now. Across all 3 battlefields, Voidborn ships suddenly began moving in strange patterns. Some fired on their own allies. Others retreated from battles they were winning. At the same time, Olivia's drone ships entered the fight. They appeared out of nowhere, hundreds of small craft moving with impossible speed and coordination. The Voidborn had never seen anything like them. On his throne world, Emperor Kradax received confused reports from all 3 fleets. His carefully planned attack was falling apart. What is happening? He demanded. The humans, said his advisor. They've done something to our systems, and these new ships, they move like nothing we've seen before. For the first time in his long life, Emperor Kradax felt fear. These humans were more dangerous than he had imagined. 1 year after humans joined the war, the Alliance prepared for the final battle. Their combined fleet gathered near the edge of Voidborn space. Over 500 ships, the largest force ever assembled, waited for the order to attack. Lisa Morgan, now Fleet Admiral, stood on the bridge of her flagship. The ship had been built on Earth but contained technology from all 7 Alliance species. Like the fleet itself, it represented the new unity the humans had helped create. Status report, she said. Daniel, now a general, looked up from his station. All ships report ready. Admiral. Ground forces are prepared for deployment. The target was the Voidborn throne world itself. After their failed 3-pronged attack, the Voidborn had pulled back to defend their home system. Now the Alliance would take the fight to them. Begin the approach, ordered Lisa. All ships, execute Operation Lightning. The fleet moved forward, but not as one large group. Instead, they split into 30 smaller formations, each attacking from a different angle. This was a tactic inspired by ancient Earth battles where armies surrounded their enemies. The Voidborn responded with everything they had. Thousands of ships moved to intercept the Alliance fleet. The space around the throne world lit up with weapons fire and explosions. From his palace, Emperor Kradax watched the battle with growing anger. His generals had promised him that the defenses were unbreakable, but the humans kept finding ways through. They adapt too quickly, said his chief advisor. Every time we counter one tactic, they switch to another. The emperor stood from his throne. I will not hide while my empire falls. Prepare my ship. In the heart of the battle, Grace Kelly led a special team on a small, fast ship. Their mission was to break through the Voidborn defenses and plant a device that would shut down the planetary shields. We're taking heavy fire, reported her pilot as the ship rocked from a near miss. Keep going, said Grace. We only get one shot at this. Meanwhile, Daniel led the ground assault. Once Grace's team lowered the shields, his forces would land and capture the command center. Thousands of human and Alliance soldiers waited in transport ships, ready for the signal. Dr. Alan Hughes monitored the battle from Proxima Station. His latest invention, a system that could track void-borne ship movements and predict their next actions, helped the Alliance fleet stay one step ahead. "They're concentrating their forces on Sector 7, he reported to Lisa, "trying to stop Grace's team." Lisa smiled. "Just as we expected. All ships in Sectors 3 and 5, move in now." While the Voidborn focused on stopping Grace, other Alliance ships broke through their lines. The battle had turned into exactly what humans excelled at: organized chaos. Grace's team reached their target and deployed their device. The massive planetary shields flickered and failed. "Shields down," she reported. "All ground forces, you are clear to land." Daniel's transport ships raced toward the surface. The fighting was fierce, but the combined human and Alliance soldiers pushed forward. Their goal: the Central Command Palace where Emperor Kradax directed the war. As they approached the palace, a massive void-borne ship rose from the surface. The Emperor was trying to escape. "All ships, target that vessel," ordered Lisa. "Do not let it leave the system." The Emperor's ship was surrounded. After a brief but intense battle, its engines were disabled. Daniel led the final assault on the palace. The remaining Voidborn guards fought to the death, but they could not stop the determined Alliance forces. Finally, in the Grand Throne Room, Daniel confronted Emperor Kradax. The Voidborn leader stood tall and proud even in defeat. "You have lost," said Daniel simply. With the Emperor captured and their homeworld taken, the remaining Voidborn forces surrendered. The war that had lasted for 30 years was finally over. On Earth, people celebrated. On Alliance worlds, there were festivals of Thanksgiving. And on Proxima Station, Lisa Morgan looked out at the stars with a smile. "What now, Admiral?" asked Admiral Xarthal, standing beside her. Lisa's eyes sparkled with excitement. "Now we explore. There's a whole galaxy out there waiting for us."